Tony Khan really must love signing and bringing in WWE superstars. We have a major update on that. But first, we're going to talk about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes had some very interesting things. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks about his heel turn, and this specifically has garnished a lot of attention from people, fans all over social media. But one of the biggest things that I took away from this statement that Cody Rhodes was talking about is how AEW will never do like the stereotypical commissioner, heel authority figure type character. And I thought that was really interesting considering that, AEW obviously, look, Cody, Kenny, the Bucks, they all are part of the EVP team. And Tony Khan is not really an on-screen character. So the idea that Cody Rhodes is saying, hey, I'm not going to turn heel, we're not going to do this type of stuff, it's basically telling us that AEW is willing to do something completely different from WWE, which even though WWE right now doesn't necessarily have any like general managers, they have Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, which are the commissioners or the agents that are running Raw and SmackDown. Now, if you watch both of these shows, you would know that WWE has a very, very, very hard time keeping things on track because Adam Pearce was just complaining on Raw about Dominic Mysterio being in the match against SmackDown for Survivor Series, but Adam Pearce also runs SmackDown. Again, it's just insulting people's intelligence. I love the fact that Cody Rhodes here is being straight up and saying, like, we don't have plans to do this type of stuff. And I'm glad that Cody Rhodes keeps saying he's not going to turn heel because I don't think he is actually going to turn heel. But I think what we're going to see from Cody is exactly what we've seen from John Cena. And I think Cody Rhodes has hit that John Cena portion of his career, which is actually better for AEW in the long term of things, especially when we don't know how long Cody Rhodes specifically will be working in AEW as a wrestler or on-screen talent. Also, when it comes to general managers, keep in mind the only WWE brand that actually has a general manager right now is William Regal, and even that, WWE NXT does not use William Regal in the same capacity that maybe Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon were as general managers in WWE Raw and SmackDown. So just ultimately some like really cool stuff right there. I just wanted to let you guys know that. Another story though that we got to talk about is AEW Full Gear. We're still waiting for some details, but it is being said that Full Gear is expected to have some major surprises. I know there's been a lot of talk about former WWE superstars that might join Full Gear. We've talked a little bit about Bray Wyatt. There's been conversations everywhere, as you can imagine. When it comes to Full Gear, the pay-per-view itself, it is going to be a big one. Anytime Full Gear is, being talked about, especially right now, it's not the most popular AEW pay-per-view, and that's something that AEW is reportedly trying to change. AEW is trying to get this pay-per-view to be a very exciting one, especially since Full Gear, the very first one, didn't necessarily have the best feedback. I actually never agreed with that. I think AEW's pay-per-views, all of them except for, I think it was Revolution when the death match explosion thing completely botched. I think AEW has actually delivered such a great pro wrestling product in general. So when you add pay-per-views to the mix, and they only do 4 of them a year, I think all of them do pretty well. So let's take a look and think of, who might debut here. I think there is a lot of opportunity for WWE to bring in Lana. Did I say WWE? I meant AEW. I think there is a lot of opportunity for AEW to bring in Lana, obviously from WWE. There might even be an update on that soon because there are rumors that she could be headed to AEW. Also, I think when it looks, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy, Bray Wyatt, those are still some names I think people try to dismiss. I think there are still opportunities there. Nothing's been signed on the dotted line. Buddy Murphy, a.k.a. Buddy Matthews, is working with New Japan, but that doesn't mean he's exclusively there. So I do think there are some great opportunities for free agents to show up, and I'm glad that AEW is planning some big surprises. I am intrigued to see what happens. But mostly, I think right now, as it stands, I think AEW's real surprises are within the roster itself. MJF and Darby Allin. I think this is when MJF loses. I think Wardlow turns on MJF. There's a lot of cool stuff. I think Full Gear is going to be exceptional. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for our final story of the day, guys, we have to talk about it. AEW has announced Arya Daivari will be competing on AEW Rampage. This is really exciting stuff. So if you're not familiar, Arya Daivari is a former 205 Live talent. He is competing against Dante Martin on Rampage, which is live. This is November 12th. So if you guys are huge into wrestling, Arya Daivari is making his debut. And I really like this. I think AEW clearly has a lot of respect for former 205 Live guys. Obviously, Tony Nese has been on AEW Dark. Now you're bringing in Arya Davari 2.0 as well, with somebody that came from 205 Live and NXT. So Arya Davari working AEW Rampage is exciting. I'm glad it's against a guy like Dante Martin. This gives a really cool opportunity for Arya Davari to impress people. And I think this is something that a lot of people overlook, but I think these matches where AEW brings in a former WWE superstar, I think that right there is when AEW does exceptionally well, because AEW looks at this as an opportunity, right? And AEW says, we could bring in this guy, get him a match. People will obviously talk about it. But if this guy impresses the fans and he impresses us, we can sign him. And that right there is something I think AEW has done in the past. I think it's something that AEW will continue to do. And I fully expect more talent to actually come to AEW in a capacity in which they don't sign. So Arya Davari coming to AEW seems like it could be a one-time thing. Not really sure. But I love it. I think AEW Rampage is a perfect platform for this. I think Dante Martin and Arya Davari is going to absolutely tear it down. And on top of that, one thing that you need to understand too when it comes to AEW talent and WWE talent coming together, Arya Davari was somebody who was misutilized in WWE. So anytime somebody is misutilized in that company and they come to AEW, it's a chance for them to get over with a more hardcore audience, but also it allows them to get over in a capacity that allows them to do what they normally do, which is wrestle. Arya Davari is a wrestler's wrestler. And I think he also does really good with the sports entertainment stuff, which is something AEW could benefit from long term. Now, does AEW bring him in long term? Do they sign him to a contract? Do they keep him for a long time? That's the type of stuff I want to know. Because if AEW can do that with Arya Davari, yes, they are signing a lot of people, but at the same time, too, this is an opportunity to also put over Dante Martin. And I think you can do this without hurting one guy versus the other. WWE talent in AEW has yet to actually take away from the AEW talent. And I think there's a lot of people who try to argue this, but they can't. I have not seen somebody successfully argue against me that AEW has done a bad job burying their own talent in light of pushing WWE talent. It just hasn't happened. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson are actually two of the things I don't care the most about in AEW, because I like what AEW has done with their actual talent that they've homegrown themselves. Ricky Starks, Will Hobbs, Orange Cassidy, right? Jungle Boy, MJF, the list goes on. So again, this is a great move by AEW. I'm really excited to see what happens. As you know, Full Gear is tomorrow on the 13th. So as the news and stuff comes out, I will be your destination for all of this pro wrestling stuff. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I want to say thank you. Look, if you guys want more videos like this, you already know what to do. You just got to go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring the bell, get notified, all of that good stuff. My name is Zango, and I will see you next time right here on my official YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Take care.